everyone, welcome to today's video. So today's video is going to be on humiliation and degradation, which is a form of play in BDSM. Before we jump into what that means, I just want to say that for patrons who are part of Patreon, you actually make this channel doable. You make this my full-time career. I love you and I am so grateful for it. As a thank you, April's video is going to be a mini scene I created with Beg4J of what degradation and humiliation might look like. Throughout this video, I'll show you just a small clip of what that looks like, but other than that, I can't really have it on YouTube because YouTube is not great when it comes to expressing yourself in the realm of BDSM. I'm actually kind of risking a little bit of a strike, even showing you a preview, but I'm hoping with enough censorship, it should be okay. YouTube is more family friendly as things progress forward, and so I am just going to be more wary about how much I show. So if you guys want to see that, check out Patreon on the $10 tier. That's where it will be. And then thank you for Beg4J for offering his beautiful vocals to this project. If you guys want to check him out, links down below for his channel, and also links down below for a video he and I did on sadism. So I actually got a lot of questions about humiliation and degradation from you via social media, Twitter, and Tumblr. So what I'm going to do is I had screen caps of those questions. I'm going to answer them in a second. But before we do, let's go ahead and cover the definitions of humiliation and degradation. So within BDSM, within the context of BDSM, this is all consensual. Okay, humiliation and degradation are common, yes, but they are very different for different people. So for some people, degradation is a hard limit. Degradation might be their edge play. Humiliation might be their edge play. For some people, like myself, humiliation is pretty common, but degradation isn't. So I'll give you an example. For me, humiliation often can be ridiculing the sub, making fun of the bottom for making a mistake, you know, kind of like a ha ha ha, look how bad you were at kneeling or walking or presenting yourself. Or let's say as the dom, you say little one or, you know, pet or whatever your pet name is, go get me a cup of tea with 2 sugars. Your submissive goes, they forget the sugar, they come back, you taste the tea. Little one, what is this? I asked for sugar, it does not taste sweet. And obviously since this is this tea isn't sweet and you're not a sweet submissive, you obviously are bad at your job. Maybe I should replace you, right? It's humiliating the submissive, especially if you're in a public setting. It feels horrible, but also really rewarding, but also really good. It kind of makes the whole dynamic a little bit more real, right? Because in a vanilla setting, if your partner came up and forgot the sugar, you'd be like, oh, hun, sugar. And they'd be like, oh, my bad, sugar. And they'd go get sugar. But in the setting where DS is, happening or an MS relationship is happening, the protocol around it would be a little bit more serious, right? The idea is that in that moment, you are in a submissive or slave mode and your job is to perform correctly. So being humiliated is kind of a proper response. Now, these are negotiated responses, okay? So if your submissive or slave isn't comfortable with being humiliated in public, then you would do something like maybe like, little one, I don't have time to punish you right now as I'm in middle of a conversation. So you need to go sit in posture, kneel, whatever your protocol is, in that corner or on that chair or in our place and wait for me until I'm ready to punish you. And then that can be a form of humiliation that isn't so degrading where everyone can hear, but people know there's, you're in trouble. And so you might go and you have to sit maybe a half an hour, 20 minutes. And then maybe on top of that, your dom might say, do not lose eye contact with me. Keep eye contact while I have you sit in that corner. Or if they want to be really mean, like I've had this happen, face the wall, you can't interact or talk or socialize with anybody while you're waiting for me to, to punish you. Okay, so that's sort of like humiliation, kind of a little bit of an example of humiliation. Now, degradation is a very different feeling, right? It's to degrade a human, to make them an object, essentially, to objectify them to the T. They are so unworthy of humanity that they are nothing but a tool for you. So degradation could be something like being a stool. Degradation could be something like being a table. Degradation could be something like, you bring me no pleasure, you please me, less than this flower that's made of plastic. You are nothing to me. I'm going to use you. I'm going to treat you like just something else, anything else I could buy from the store. You are not unique, right? It's a breaking of a person, okay? Remember that in BDSM, for all of us, we do things differently. For me, with my former relationship, he was at a point, my former dom, where he could do a degradation scene with me, and it was okay because I knew deep down, no matter how real the scene felt, no matter how real his words felt, deep down I knew that he loved and would always protect me, and that I could call red and I could end the scene and we'd do aftercare and everything was going to be fine, okay? So don't forget that degradation and humiliation are a form of expression between the people involved in the scene, where there's a very specific kind of emotion or feeling that's trying to be evoked. Remember too that when you're starting off, you should have at least some sense of what you want, right? You didn't just enter into the BDSM lifestyle, okay? There is a reason you're here. There's a reason you chose to look it up or to research, to watch my videos. That means deep down inside of yourself, you know you're looking for something. So express that something you're looking for to your partner so they can create, or you can help create, a scene that really, really makes a difference in your life. Remember, for me at least, BDSM has a point, okay? Not only the community and the structure and the protocol, but it has, for me, a growing purpose. I want to be a better person through BDSM. I want to be a better human. I want to be a better submissive. I want to be a better partner. So every time you create a scene, think about the purpose of a scene, okay? So with that said, let's go ahead and answer some of your questions. So the first question we're actually going to cover is the aftercare process, because that would follow the scene. So aftercare is really important, and it will differ from person to person. So what you need to do is negotiate aftercare beforehand, and also take notes every time a scene ends, what kind of aftercare is needed for the type of scene that has happened. So you'll learn this over time. You won't know this at first, but you should have a pretty good idea of the possibilities of the things you'll need. So an example is, I know I need physical contact, I need love, I need cuddles, I need like reassurance, I need to feel human again, and so that's really important for me. Cuddles and nuzzles, and if we're in a public place, mostly cuddles. If we're in privacy at home, I would say like I would wear their shirt, because I like to do that. Like if my person has a shirt, I would wear the shirt with their smell on it, and I would either color or watch a Disney movie or watch a movie with them, like a comedy, something like that, or I would sleep, maybe under their desk, or it's just a way to feel connected and intimate with my partner. Now, not all people can offer a physical touch after a scene, and that needs to be negotiated. So if you're the kind of person that's a possibility of, you need to explain that. Now, eventually when you learn yourself a little bit better and you do know that you can't be touched after a scene or you need some physical space, what you can do is have someone on standby for aftercare. Or what you can do, and what I recommend if you're especially at home and you don't have people who can come over, I would say that the person who needs space should go get that space, and when they're ready, maybe they can come back and give the other person who needs physical contact, okay? And then in the meantime, the person who needs physical contact can maybe have that contact by wearing their shirts, laying in bed, hugging a stuffy, anything that kind of grounds a person, okay? I find that when I was a collared submissive, I found that having my collar was really, really comforting and wonderful, because that gave me the ability to have them near me. So collars are really important too. Just remember that the aftercare, because it is so personal and specific to who you are as people, won't always be that easy to figure out, okay? It's going to be a lot of trial and error. So that was from Nobody Cares 666. Thank you for that question. Great question. The next question is from Baby Low, aka Milkwebs. Hey. With humiliation and degradation, I'd love for you to discuss how it can be used to take control of insecurities and fears. That's my favorite part of degradation, to be honest. So yes, of course. Oh my gosh, if BDSM wasn't this great tool for overcoming fears or talking about insecurities, I don't think it would help as many people. I think the reason it really does help people is because it allows you that safe place to explore. Now, in order to get to that place though, you really need to find the right partners. Trust me, BDSM is like any other relationship. With the wrong partner, it can be a horrible experience. So be patient and really vet people. So one of the examples I can give you is, so in terms of like degradation and objectification, when you're feeling like you're almost unworthy, or you're feeling like you're not even a human, like you don't even get a say, it's a really interesting experience. It gives you an opportunity to take yourself outside of your body and to think of your body as genuinely a vessel. Like one of the reasons why I always say your body is a vessel, right? It's this one thing that's going to get your brain through existence, because what you are is your mind. So you not only have to take care of your mind, but you have to take care of your body. You have to be healthy. You have to work out. You have to care about your vessel. Your vessel is the only thing keeping you from sinking. If it would help, you can think of it like a ship, like I do, okay? When your vessel is broken, you risk the chance of sinking and never, ever raising it from the depths. And that is somewhere that is somewhere I don't want to go yet, okay? It's not that I fear death, but I have so much more that I want to see, so much more that I want to do. So I take very good care of my vessel. After this, I'll end up going bouldering later tonight at 5:30 with my siblings. Like, I have a schedule every other day, and honestly, guys, I see a difference. Like, my arm, like, this little bump might not look like anything, but before it was like nothing. Like, I had nothing, and now I can see that progress. So when you're exploring these kind of fantasies, you have to remember to take care of your body. But anyways, okay, so degradation kind of takes me out of my body, okay? It removes me from the scene, and it allows me to kind of observe behavior, and it allows me a chance to really trust somebody with my body, okay? So humiliation is like, okay, because I'm an efficient and perfectionist, and because I like everything to be a very specific way, when I am like at a protocol party, okay, I want to do things right. I actually hate doing things wrong. And often, if there's anything that I've done wrong, I feel really crappy about it. Like, one time I was at a protocol party and I dropped a fork, and it was loud enough that like everyone in the room turned and looked at me, and I was like, oh. And now this was a private protocol party, and I knew everyone there for the most part, so it was very comfortable and knowledgeable that the room would sort of participate in the humiliation. So the room was like, whose submissive is this? Who owns this property? And my dom was like, I do. My former dom was like, I do. And it became this thing where like he was going to prepare to punish me. And it was this whole scene of feeling like, like I didn't do this one thing right that I wanted to. And that can be really humiliating. Like, genuinely, like, some people I know, that's a super hard limit for them. The degradation part of that would be if he called me over and said something like, little one, you humiliated me. You have been humiliated, and now, since you are no longer worthy of being my submissive, you will kneel in a corner, and I will ignore you, because you are nothing right now. You are not a good submissive. You do not please me. And then I would probably go sit in that corner, and then it would be sort of that situation. And this is really interesting for me because I am so bold. I am so tough. I am such a top and vanilla world. I am so ready to take control. For someone to be able to have that sort of power, consensually, over me is really a fascinating experience. Now, of course, I have my limits. Like, I couldn't do a scene like that. I couldn't have that kind of energy for too long. The protocol parties I attend can actually go from like I would say like 4 to 8 hours depending on the protocol party, and that can be very intense, and afterwards I'm extremely exhausted and very drained, and I need lots of aftercare. To be completely honest, I often will cry after a protocol party, not because I'm like hurt or in pain, and not because I'm sad particularly, but because the adrenaline has like run out and the drop is so hard. It's kind of intense how it happens.
Little one, I thought you were going to please me, but it appears you're a terrible submissive. How are you supposed to serve me if you're dropping my things? I want a perfect sub, and you are awful at the one job you had. I said keep the book on your head, and where is it now?
It's on the floor, sir.
Maybe that's where you need to be. You don't deserve to watch me. Head down, ass up.
Yes, sir. So this is from some random ass person on Twitter. I want to learn where the line is between when a sub likes it and when the dom uses it as punishment. So humiliation and degradation needs to be negotiated. Everything needs to be negotiated. Punishments need to be negotiated. Like, it's not that hard. Like, at the end of the day, the base part of BDSM isn't hard. It comes down to negotiation. And I understand we live in a society that doesn't teach people to truly communicate their feelings. Everyone's afraid of offending everybody. Everyone's afraid of coming off like a pussy. Everyone's afraid of coming off too harsh. There needs to be a balance between using proper language to communicate and being very clear and concise, okay? I find that a lot of people, when communicating their feelings or their ideas in the world, take like 3 different approaches. 1, I'm not politically correct. I'm just gonna say it the way it is, which is often just like you being an asshole. 2, you know what, I'm just like, gonna pansy around it for fucking 2 hours. Bro, just like say what you're gonna say and do the 3rd thing. Find a balance between speaking honestly and being kind, but being very, very blunt about what you're trying to say. I do it all the time. Watch any of my videos, okay? So here's the deal. When you're negotiating, you need to say, under no circumstances are you allowed to do X, Y, and Z. Or you can say, I'm open to it, but it could go wrong. That is the most important part of BDSM. It can, go wrong. And it will at one point. If you're doing it enough, it will go wrong at one point. And you need to be able to negotiate that. And people make mistakes all the time. And it's going to feel shitty. And you're going to feel like crap. And you're going to want to cry. And you're going to want to yell. And you're going to want to break up. And you're going to want to do all the things. But you need to sit down and really talk, especially when you're sober, meaning outside of a BDSM headspace, okay? You can't drink or do drugs and participate in BDSM. It isn't healthy or safe, and people who do are irresponsible. And frankly, like, I wouldn't play with them. Like, they can do it. It's their own risk. That's fine. Whatever. But do not recommend you do that, okay? It's hard enough being a human that's sober, okay? So you need to negotiate out of a BDSM headspace what you want so you can clearly convey that. If you're having a hard time doing it verbally, write it down, okay? Write it down. Some of us have hard limits, okay? I can't be completely tied up, hard limit. I can't have anything over my face, hard limit. No hoods, no masks. The masks can go on my eyes, but they can't cover my mouth as well. They need to be like partially, but never fully, okay? The point of this is to actually create boundaries and to communicate clearly. So when you're in the scene, you don't panic because one person did something that you could have negotiated for beforehand and avoided it. Trust me, panic during scenes is a thing because they get intense and you worry. And all of a sudden you realize, holy crap, am I trapped? Like, it's this weird feeling. So you just need to negotiate properly. So this is from Tumblr. This is from Sonic. What are your hard limits when it comes to either humiliation or degradation? So I guess the hard limits for me personally will eventually, they'll have to be chiseled out depending on who I'm playing with, to be completely honest. Because sometimes I can go, like, when I bottom for certain people, humiliation is totally always a part of it. Like, I pretty much always involve humiliation with my tops. But keep in mind, I bottom for 4 people I can think of at the moment, actively, who I trust. Everyone else can go suck a dick. But those are the people that I do it for consistently. So it's a little different. Like, the humiliation negotiation doesn't always need to happen because they know the limits. And if we wanted to add something new in, we could. Degradation, though, isn't something that I do with those particular tops. So degradation is purely for my dom right now. And I don't have a dom right now, so I don't participate in degradation scenes. It would be way too much, and it would be like, not gonna happen. I would have to be very intimate with you. So I guess the hard limits there are just like knowing your place in regards to playing those certain limits with me. Let me see, what forms of private humiliation degradation have been your personal favorites, and what forms of public humiliation degradation have been your favorites? Ooh, good question. So what forms of private humiliation or degradation have been your personal favorites? I mean, they're private, right? Like, what happens in my house is a very different experience for me than what happens at the club. Like, it's a very different intimacy setting because, like, I'm not afraid of anything. Like, there have been scenes of complete ownership where, like, they've cleaned me out and washed my body and fingered and checked every hole, and it's very, 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 very humiliating, and it's a form of degradation because it's so objectifying, but it's also a lot of property play where it's very much like you are owned by this person, and that's the kind of stuff that I would never do in public. In public settings, degradation isn't really allowed for me. It's just not going to happen. Humiliation, completely, like I said, with the protocol party stories, completely. When did you find out you were interested in humiliation and degradation? What was your first foray into these things? I think I knew I was into them, honestly, for years, like a decade. Like, when I was a kid, I think I knew I was into that kind of thing. I also think I was into it because of, like, I can really pinpoint my childhood and, like, my adulthood and find out exactly where those kinks or those fetishes kind of built and came alive. With degradation and humiliation, that is like a direct reaction to a lot of my experiences as a child. Like, definitely, totally. And it's really, I think the reason I like playing them out is because they're really empowering when you can get out of it, and it's really empowering when you can decide when someone is allowed to humiliate or degrade you. What are some forms of humiliation and degradation you haven't tried that you're interested in? That is for my play partners to find out. What advice would you give to an inexperienced sub or dom wanting to try out more scenes involving humiliation and degradation, and what would be some nice starting scenarios? This is a personal question. My recommendation is to write down both sides of the slash, write down your perceived want out of the scene, and then kind of talk to each other about it. Some submissives and bottoms find it easier to explain what they kind of want, and then they leave it up to the dom or top to surprise them for this scene. Some people just need to negotiate it. Some people do trial and error moments. Like, this takes a lot of conversation, and most certainly I would not encourage you to do a humiliation and degradation scene with somebody you don't know. I would never recommend it for pickup play. I consider it much more of an edge play scenario. Have you ever been brought to an orgasm based on humiliation or degradation alone without penetration or clitoral stimulation? So you have to remember, I do not involve sex in my play. And the only time I do is with my former dom, okay? And that's in the privacy of my home. So anything like sexual based, it would have to be like a part of degradation, not humiliation. So like degradation scenes, not particularly. I don't feel fulfilled by like expressing like sexual expression during BDSM. I keep it very like mental degradation. I'm trying to think of a scene I've done that would have been sexual in any way or orgasmic in any way. At the moment I can't really think of anything, but my former partner might remember something, or I don't, you know what, maybe this is kind of it. This was supposed to be mostly, okay, well, no, see, I didn't orgasm, again, because, like, I can't concentrate on, like, orgasming if I'm busy being an object. Let me think. Maybe not. I mean, I've definitely done scenes, well, they weren't really degradation. This is so interesting, because I've done scenes, right, where, like, it was a primal scene, which is with a partner, and that usually turns into sex, and then the sex can become objectifying, like maybe I'm just a body, or maybe I'm a piece of meat, or maybe whatever else. But I guess that kind of works. I guess I've had an orgasm from those types of scenes, but that is just with my, that's just with a formal partner. Have you ever, no. Do you have any preferred names to be called? Yes, and that's for play partners to know and you never to find out. Can you tell us a favorite story of being humiliated or completely degraded where you had an amazing time as a sub? No. No. These are very personal stories, and though I could tell them maybe one day in a light that isn't so intense, and I actually have been working, so the book I'm working on right now, the BDSM 101 book, has a lot of those scenes in it, and it's much easier, much more comfortable for me to write about it than to talk about it. Though over time, of course, I'm going to get more comfortable with sharing those intimate details. The reason that book has taken me so long, guys, is because it is so personal. Like, I'm sharing some of my deepest and darkest and weirdest, like, ideas and concepts of BDSM with you, and it's a big deal for me to put that on paper and to share it with the world, since I'm a pretty private person. I know I share a lot of my life on the internet, but I'm actually a pretty private person when it comes to that stuff. So it will be an interesting experience, and I look forward to you guys eventually having that in your hands. But it has been very, like, emotionally draining and very, like, difficult in a lot of ways to write about it, but I'm working on it. So that is just my video for humiliation and degradation. I hope that makes sense. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the sections below. Message me on Tumblr, hit me up on Twitter. If you want some one-on-one time or a guaranteed response, check out Patreon. I am so honored at the amount of responses I've gotten recently. I have so many new people that have come to join and learn from me, and I am just so grateful. I am looking at possibly starting off a more intimate sort of mentor possibility with some people, and I am really excited about that. I have somebody right now that I am working with, and I am so proud of her already. It's been going so well. So I look forward to having those opportunities, those moments of opportunity to share with you and to build off of. Like, I want to make your lives easier, and I am trying to figure out how to do that the best way I can. So bear with me. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I so appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!